What's up, guys? It's PSA here, and we got a nice little news break of the day. I'm sure you've all heard about it, the PSA Beckett buyout. But again, we're PSA. Find us on YouTube. We are just under that 100 sub mark, so help us get there. Like and subscribe, share, comment, do whatever you want. We'd love to hear from you. Now, again, we're talking about PSA buying out Beckett Grading, which I am a huge PSA. I got right here over 400 slabs just right there. So, big PSA guy, but let's get into it. Now, PSA is the parent company of the parent company is Collectors. They're the ones that are going to acquire Beckett. Now, this is a big breaking story right now. Collectors, which owns card grading giant PSA, has purchased longtime grading authentic rival to Beckett. Now, I'm an 80s kid, and so I remember getting the Beckett magazine to do the grading for sports cards back in the 80s and 90s. And it was an awesome magazine. It was the only way. Actually, I named my kid Beckett because I like it so much. Here's the thing though, PSA, they're starting to corner the market here. Beckett's been losing and hemorrhaging money. Unless you get a black label Beckett, the Becketts just don't hold the value. If you have a Beckett 10, it does all right. It probably comps out about 90% of a PSA 10. But the black labels, they 10 or 20x typically is what they do. So to put in perspective, the Burger Chew, the Japanese McDonald's Pikachu card, right now in a PSA 10 sells for about $60, $70. If you have the black label PSA 10 of it, it sells for about $1,500 on the latest auctions on eBay. Now, PSA, I'm a fan, okay? I've been doing PSA cards since 2020. I was there during the backlogs of 12 to 18 month wait times when the cards cost $10 to grade. I was there when you had to get into a queue system and you could grade 5 cards at a time for $50 each. I've been doing PSA for 5 years now, at least. So, the thing about PSA is right now, when you send cards there, they're backlogged. The bulk submissions can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. PSA also, if you get PSA 10s, they will buy them from you. They'll PSA vault them. They'll give you a pretty good price for it. Usually it's about 85 to 95% comp, just depends on what card it is, modern versus vintage. The problem with that is there was a guy about 2, 3 weeks ago that had a tag team card that was graded a 9. They said, "Would you like to sell this to us?" He did. He looked up the SKU number on it then, and in PSA's website it said this is a PSA 10. They claimed, allegedly, they didn't mean to do it, but PSA can really dictate the market here. So, is this a good thing PSA is buying Beckett? Probably not. It's probably not a good thing. Beckett is not doing so hot right now, though. So, I know why they're selling out. They're going to keep them as two separate companies, just like eBay has TCG Player. Okay? Two separate companies, about the same type deal. They're just ran a little bit different. PSA and Beckett with grading card companies, though, you still have CGC, you have Tag. There's a few other ones that have tried to hold on, but PSA, it's the top notch. Now, am I a fan of this happening? Absolutely not. I think PSA is dictating the graded card market a little too much. They can tell you how many PSA 10s are going to be out there because the people grading them are just like you and I. If they have a bad day, let's say their dog gets hit by a car, their husband or wife decides to leave them, they spill a bowl of chili on their pants, it can dictate your card grading. Tell me it doesn't, I call you crazy and I call you a liar. If they're having a bad day, they're going to grade the cards a little bit harder. The other thing with PSA that I've found out just from my experience is if you send in bulk submissions of the same card, you rarely get multiple 10s. For instance, I sent in Misty's Cedra. It's a 20 or 2000 jungle. Now it's a 2000 fossil, I believe. Pre-release card. It's a Cedra foil. I sent in 20 of them. Of all 20, I got 110, 17 nines, and 2 8s. I sent in 2 of the 9s, and I got one more 10 out of them. Okay? So, it is all about the perspective the person has on it. Now, with PSA, with them cornering the market right here, in the real world, from TCG and grading cards and from sports cards, if this were to happen, let's say like a Viacom, Time Warner, HBO, something like that, they try to merge all these things together. charter, things like that. The government says can't do that. You're trying to monopolize the system. We can't have a monopoly happen because you'll dictate the price too much. PSA is doing that right now. If PSA acquires Beckett and Beckett slowly starts to fall off, maybe, then you could definitely see PSA being at the very, very tippy top where no one's going to use CGC or tag cards. It isn't going to happen. HGA were hybrid grading cards. These were the big ones that happened back in COVID. Computers graded them. They had nice little colored slabs. They'd match the card with the label and everything. They were awesome. You don't hear about them too much anymore. These card companies tend to fall off. Tag is holding on so far. I don't know that it will in the future. Possibly. CGC's held on. Okay. Beckett's been around. I mean, we're since like 84. Okay. PSA's been around for a long time too. The problem with these companies, just like PSA, they're not publicly traded. These are private entities. So that means if anybody wants to get a slice of that PSA pie, you can't do it. Okay. You can find some of their parent companies, maybe some stocks that they're in. But it really just doesn't happen too much. So PSA acquiring Beckett, there's a bunch of different articles and stuff about it you can get to. Parent company collector acquires Beckett. They don't say how much the sale's going for, and here's the reason why. You'll probably never hear about it so much about the sale because it's not a publicly traded company. It's a private entity, so they don't have to disclose any of the facts. The other thing too is, according to third-party grading tracker GemRate, PSA has graded 18.3 million cards in 2025. CGC 4.7, SCG, that's the other one, 1.4, and Beckett at 790,000. Okay, unless you get a Beckett Black Label, it's not worth it. Of the four major card graders, CGG is the only company outside the collector umbrella. PSA, CGC, and Beckett combine for roughly 79% of the market. That looks like a monopoly to me. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a like, leave a comment, or hit the like button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Who do you grade with? Okay, I'm a PSA guy. But I do understand that there are a little bit of, it's a little bit subjective to who's grading it. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Remember, we're PokePasoda. Give us a like, subscribe, and remember, catch them all.